The ICT sector in Rwanda has continued to register tremendous or remarkable growth, and that has boosted the socio-economic development. Some technological advancements have been incorporated in various service provisions. And on top of that, Rwanda developed its own national web domain .rw, and before 2012, it was fully managed and controlled by a Belgian. Now we can proudly say that it's managed by our own Rwanda Information Communication Technology Limited, and that's a non-profit organization that is also meant to represent the Rwanda internet community. Welcome to the Big Q with me, Imi Molekatete Kalima, and I'm going to be joined by the CEO of RICTA, or Rwanda Information Communication Technology Association, Ghislain Nkeramugaba. You can also chime into the Big Q by using our hashtag on the Big Q, that is Big Q hashtag. And he's now joining me on the set. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
When I was calling out for questions on different social media platforms, I had a big issue. Everyone was telling me, I last got to know about RICTA maybe in 2010. I didn't know it existed. Or some were saying that, what is RICTA? What does it do? What does it do when you talk about representing Rwanda internet community? Why isn't RICTA out there known to different people that are actually concerned, that are supposed to know about the organization?
Yeah, thank you very much. RICTA stands for Rwanda ICT Association, limited, as you mentioned, a public and not-for-profit organization, non-government. But we represent the internet community, as you mentioned, based on the different aspects of internet that we look after. And not being known, I believe we are trying our best to be known out there through social media, through initiatives or shows like these ones, so that people may know more about what RICTA is. RICTA is Rwanda ICT Association, as you mentioned. Two main projects, .rw, domain name of Rwanda, and RINEX, Rwanda Internet Exchange Point. Those are the two main projects we look after. Those are the key internet infrastructure in Rwanda that are very key for the internet of Rwanda.
We're going to get into some of the questions that were sent by the public on social media platforms. We start with James Kant, who's saying that where does the organization RICTA fit in the equation before a given subscriber uses their internet?
So when you're talking about internet service provisioning, we are not an ISP, an internet service provider, but we do work with internet service providers on aspects regarding affordability, access, and so on and so forth. So we are not looking at giving internet, but we are looking at what is necessary or what is required for the internet to be provisioned as far as possible, from urban areas to rural areas if possible, at an affordable prices. So in the big picture, we look at the big range, technology, pricing, awareness, protection, data privacy, all those, that big spectrum, that's what we are looking at. That's how we feature in that whole big picture in the ecosystem. Okay,
now we move on to John I am Gahamanyi on Twitter, who say that what are RICTA's efforts in promoting .rw, that is the national domain, to youngsters or university students?
So we organized in the past 2 years, we have a forum called the Internet Governance Forum, and mainly in those forums, we are looking at young people to be part of those forums. We always have activities in K-Lab, talking about internet, web development, and so on and so forth. And going forward, schools hangouts in schools, academia. We have Rwanda NOG happening in academia as well, in University of Rwanda. So all that is looking at young people and addressing, and plus the social media presence as well.
Okay. Now, still on the .rw, there have been sensitizations for companies to adopt the .r domain, but there are concerns of poor service delivery. And Ino Kamarad wants to know, what's your take on that particular issue?
We work with middlemen, resellers. We call, in our jargon, registrars. Yes. So we look at streamlining the process by which they provide the domain name or other services to the end users. continuously we give capacity building trainings, how to better service the users. And from there, we move forward and ensure that the service they give to the end users are very good. That's with the registrars. But looking at other aspects, we do advocacy with the end users. We tell them this is what you should expect from the resellers, so that they know what they have to claim from those resellers.
Okay, and does RICTA have the national servers to host local or national data, and how is one's data protected? That is Bob who wants to know.
So when we are talking about hosting data, there are different aspects of looking at the different perspective. We don't host per se emails, we don't host images, we don't host sounds. Apart from our own website, that's what we're only hosting. What we host is the data regarding domain names only. That's what we are hosting. But for whatever hosting the person is referring it to is done by AOS, Africa Ole Service, it's done by MTN, it's done by other resellers that we have, ACCRs and so on and so forth, Imaginet and so on and so on. Resiliency as well, reliability,
yes,
so that .rw domain names will never disappear.
Very good. Now that brings in Patrick Ngeza's question. How far with the harmonization of the .rw domain delivery price, as vendors or registrars, as you were calling them, tend to set prices as they will?
So we addressed that. When we started the resale or the sale of .rw domain names, we started with the model that was promoting competition, but the price were not really low. So this year, starting this year, we enforced and we set a retail price.
Eddie comes in. International domains are less costly compared to the .r domain. So how does this help and the need to boost the number of subscribers on the local host?
With the new pricing of 3,000 Rwandan francs per annum or 12,000 Rwandan francs per annum, we address that. So a .com, let's say, or a .net directly costs more or less $10 on internet. So .co.rw costs $4, which is below .com and .net. So we addressed that with that new pricing, that new retail pricing. So with that, through different forums, we got that feedback, we changed that pricing. So through that feedback, we reduced the pricing, which is no longer a challenge or an obstacle to people to adopt .rw.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As I was already also pursuing my website domain, I think I need to revisit the fact that if I'll use the .rw. Thank you so much for your time. And also thank you so much for your questions. And before I forget, I need to quote, Rwanda's growth is high. The inflation is low. The country's fiscal and monetary management are exceptionally perceived on the international market. And as neighboring currencies are attacked from all sides, the franc is a relative bulwark of stability. Those were words that were said by the governor of National Bank of Rwanda, Honorable John Rwangoga, and that was an acceptance speech as he received the Central Bank Governor of the Year, Sub-Saharan Africa 2015. And next week on the BQ, we sit down with the governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, and he will tell us one of the vision of the National Bank of Rwanda is to become the world-class Central Bank of Rwanda. I mean, Central Bank. Has that been achieved? Well, make sure it will be a date next week on the BQ. And do not forget, send your questions at RTV English, our Twitter handle, or on Facebook at RTV English, and use the hashtag #TheBigQ. And this conversation can continue. Use the hashtag once again, #TheBigQ, and chime in any of your comments. Goodbye for now. I'm Imi Mulekatete. Be well and be blessed.